Elon Musk, with a net worth of $250 billion, has recently topped Forbes' billionaire list, making him the richest person of modern times. However, he is nowhere near the wealth of the richest person in history, Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa, a 14th century Muslim ruler from West Africa, was so wealthy that his generosity once caused an entire country's economy to collapse. Musa's wealth was so immense that it is almost impossible to comprehend, said Rudolf Butch-Ware, an associate professor of history at the University of California, to the BBC. In 2015, Jacob Davidson wrote for Money.com that Musa was richer than anyone could describe. In 2012, the US website Celebrity Net Worth estimated Mansa Musa's wealth to be around $400 billion. However, economic historians agree that it is almost impossible to quantify his wealth accurately. Born in 1280 into a ruling family, Mansa Musa came to power after his brother, Mansa Abu Bakr, who was the previous ruler of the Mali Empire, abdicated the throne in 1312 to embark on an expedition. According to the 14th century Syrian historian Shihab al-Umari, Abu Bakr was intensely curious about what lay beyond the Atlantic Ocean. He set sail with 2,000 ships and thousands of men, women and slaves, but never returned. Some, like the late American historian Ivan van Sertima, believe Abu Bakr might have reached South America, although there is no evidence of this. Born in 1280 into a ruling family, Mansa Musa came to power after his brother, Mansa Abu Bakr, who was the previous ruler of the Mali Empire, abdicated the throne in 1312 to embark on an expedition. According to the 14th century Syrian historian Shihab al-Umari, Abu Bakr was intensely curious about what lay beyond the Atlantic Ocean. He set sail with 2,000 ships and thousands of men, women and slaves, but never returned. Some, like the late American historian Ivan van Sertima, believe Abu Bakr might have reached South America, although there is no evidence of this. After his brother's departure, Mansa Musa inherited the throne and expanded the Mali Empire significantly, adding 24 cities, including Timbuktu, and extending the empire's reach to 2,000 miles. His empire included parts of modern-day Niger, Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea and Ivory Coast, bringing him control of vast mineral resources, especially gold and salt. The British Museum estimates that during Mansa Musa's reign, Mali held half of the world's gold reserves, all of which belonged to Mansa Musa. Kathleen Bickford-Burzok, an African studies expert at Northwestern University, told the BBC, "As a ruler, Mansa Musa had almost limitless access to the most valuable resources of the medieval era." Despite Mali's vast gold reserves, the empire was relatively unknown to the wider world until Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim, decided to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca, crossing the Sahara Desert and Egypt. It is said he left Mali with a caravan of 60,000 people, including his entire court, officials, soldiers, poets, merchants, camel drivers, and 12,000 slaves, along with a vast herd of goats and sheep for food. The caravan included hundreds of camels, each carrying hundreds of pounds of pure gold. When the caravan reached Cairo, it left such a lasting impression that 12 years later, when al-Umari visited the city, people still spoke of Mansa Musa's visit. During his 3-month stay in Cairo, Mansa Musa distributed so much gold that its value plummeted, causing an economic crisis that took the region over a decade to recover from. According to a US-based tech company SmartAsset.com, the devaluation of gold due to Mansa Musa's pilgrimage caused an economic loss of $1.5 billion across the Middle East at that time. On his return journey, Mansa Musa reportedly tried to help stabilize Egypt's economy, either by borrowing gold at high interest to remove it from circulation, or by spending so much that he ran out of gold. Lucy Duran of the School of African and Oriental Studies in London says that Mali's griots, or praise singers, were so angered by his generosity abroad that they refused to sing his praises, believing he had squandered the country's wealth. Despite his extravagant generosity, Mansa Musa's pilgrimage brought Mali and himself into the global spotlight. A 1375 Catalan map even depicted an African king holding a piece of gold in Timbuktu. People began to visit Timbuktu from far and wide, and even in the 19th century, the city was legendary as a lost city of gold. Mansa Musa returned from Mecca with several Islamic scholars, including a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad and an Andalusian poet and architect, Abu Ishaq es-Saheli, who is credited with designing the famous Djinguereber Mosque. Mansa Musa reportedly paid the poet 200 kilograms of gold, worth $8.2 million today. In addition to promoting arts and architecture, Mansa Musa also supported literature, funding the construction of schools, libraries and mosques. Timbuktu quickly became a center of learning, attracting scholars from all over the world and later becoming known as the Sankore University. Though he spread education throughout West Africa, Mansa Musa's story is little known outside his empire. After his death in 1337 at the age of 57, his sons could not maintain the empire, leading to its eventual decline. European colonization of Africa was the final nail in the coffin for Mansa Musa's once powerful empire. Medieval history is still often viewed as Western history, explains Lisa Corin Graziosi, director of the Block Museum, on why Mansa Musa's story isn't widely known. Had Europeans come to Africa during Mansa Musa's reign when Mali was at its military and economic peak, things might have been different, said Mr. Ware.